Be efficient. We've seen this before.
Minimum homestead increase in the homestead decreases homeowners' property taxes. I appreciate Speaker Burns finding this issue last term. I appreciate your leadership in working with the Senate on this as well last term. There are over 1 million homeowners in Georgia. Code Section 48-5-44, which was last amended in 1978, sets a statewide minimum homestead at $2,000. This applies to counties, to school boards, and to the state on any references to homestead exemptions for homeowner property taxes. It's currently at $2,000. This bill would take it to $5,000, so it would more than double it. Home ownership, of course, is the American dream, and this bill gives relief to homeowners, many homeowners across Georgia, for the sake of perpetuating the American dream. So respectfully request your approval of an increase in the statewide minimum homestead.
And we officially call the meeting to order. I neglected to say that before, but thank you for the presentation, Representative. It's the will of the committee. Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by stating aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion bill passes. Okay, thank you, Representative. Did I see Chairman Saines? Okay, all right. All right, well, he must have pit stop. HB 330, Representative Cannon. You can present from your chair. You're a member of the committee. What number would we be? 13. There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have House Bill 330 LC 501198S. HB 330 is sort of a cleanup bill for our state income tax credit programs, more specifically for the Law Enforcement Strategic Support Act, LESS, and also the Great Opportunities for Access to Learning Gold Program for Education. At a very high level, the bill makes some technical changes to both GOAL and LESS the LESS Act to align them with Georgia Heart, which is our tax credit program for rural hospitals. If the committee recalls, we made some tweaks last year to the Georgia Heart program, and this bill reflects some of those changes so that the LESS Act, GOAL, and Georgia Heart all have similar technical language. I can go into the details, but for the GOAL scholarship, those changes are in Section 1. The balance of the changes for Section 2 are for law enforcement. Again, we're trying to mirror all the language for the pre-approval language is also added to GOAL and also added to the LESS Act. For the law enforcement.
Representative, I'm just going to jump in because I know you mean PEACH program.
Correct.
But I just wanted to make sure the
That's
members
correct.
knew that. That is the Brooks Coleman Public School Education Tax Credit. Please proceed.
So finally, we add the pre-approval language for Georgia Heart on in Section 2. Don't want to get too much in the details. I admit I'm not a subject matter expert on tax credits, and I can defer to the chairman for any other comments.
Yeah, thank you, Representative. A lot of these measures have all been seen before in the foster care bill and then the SSO bill, but again, this has the LESS Act in it and the PEACH program, so I think the substantive change is for Representative Townsend's bill, which has been included in this, would allow that to go to 20 million per calendar year, up from 15. I know he had originally asked for more than that, but any questions? Chairman Jones?
But line 20 to 21, no unused tax credit shall be allowed the taxpayer. Is that something that we need to fix here, or is that considered a Scrivener error? And can Leg Counsel maybe give us some counsel?
Actually, I think it's part of the original. You're talking about where they not carry forwards? Yeah, that's all been checked off.
Okay.
And approved. Yes, sir. Thank you for drawing that to our attention. I don't see any other questions. What's the will of the committee? I have a motion. Is there a second? I'm sorry, Chairman Gaines.
Sorry, I had a quick question. Y'all may have talked about this, but I was just outside. So on line 18, where it's lowering the amount down to 30% of the corporate level, did y'all talk about that? Sorry, I was outside.
It's just one of the measures that we've included in several of these, and, you know, it's been kind of a consistent uniformity piece, but it takes that 75 down to 30, and we haven't had any huge objection other than, you know, it is a adjustment.
Okay. I apologize. We hadn't talked about it. I just noticed that, and I guess I would have
Yeah,
concerns
just
on
some
that.
technical stuff.
Because as I, you know, a lot of the law enforcement donations that have been made to this tax credit have been done through corporations. Is that on the police?
That's
It's in
part of,
both, yeah,
that's
yeah.
part of the peach, but it also is something that we've put, you know,
But a significant amount of the donations made to law enforcement foundations have been done through, you know, large corporate gifts.
yeah, it versus 75% of their tax liability going down to 30%. Yeah, it's just a measure that, you know, essentially has been signed off on. I think some have required a cap or are asking for a cap, and we're certainly willing to do that. I don't think the concern is that they're not able to donate enough. I think the concern is that it's gonna, you know, be too much.
Well, like if you have, so just an example, like a car dealer, you know, that donates, I mean, like we had one car dealer that donated about $400,000 to our police foundation, and they maxed out their 75% tax liability. Now they'd only be able to donate about $100,000. Is that accurate?
I would think that's probably true, but again, trying to put some of these curbs and guardrails and make them consistent throughout.
We can talk about it offline. Sorry,
Okay.
I apologize. I didn't.
No,
see
thank
that.
you. I appreciate the interest. I think we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right, did Representative Saines get back in the room? I think you have HB 266. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a substitute for House Bill 266, LC 50, 1209S. Yeah, like the original, this is good for all of Georgia, but particularly looks at incentivizing our military retirees. This expands the military retirement tax credit from a baseline of $17,500 to $35,000, and modifies the age that you can be qualified for it from 62 to 65, and then there's a graduating increase of $5,000 per tax year after 2027 until you reach a max amount of $65,000.
Any questions for the author of the bill? I think what we have done is actually taken Representative Ballard's bill and worked with you. She's become the second signer, and this would adjust our military retirement piece and allow our retirees a bump in what they can exempt from their income tax liability.
Yes, sir. Representative Ballard worked very hard on this bill, and I appreciate her allowing me to take good legislation and partner with her on this.
I don't see any questions. What's the will of the committee? I have a motion. Is there a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by stating aye. Opposed, like sign. All right, thank you, Chairman Saines. HB 341, Chairman Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, this is House Bill 341, which has to deal with small businesses who don't currently offer health insurance, an encouragement piece with a tax credit of $600 a year to assist with that, as long as they're spending at least twice that much. We sent it back from rules to have a couple of changes, in particular a clarification that while the bill is effective July 1st of 2025 for some of the October 1 deadlines in November, the bill doesn't go into effect until the 2026 January 21 tax year, January 2026 tax year, basically correcting that along with on line 18 where we added the correct, an amendment with the correct Code of Federal Regulation.
All right.
It's the bill dealing with the tax credits for
Yeah,
small employers.
we're,
Yeah, okay.
I don't see any questions. We passed this out, this measure already out. We have a motion do pass. Is there a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Opposed, like sign. Bill passes. All right, what number are we on to here? HB 357, Representative Franklin? Excuse me. Yes, I got that right. Looking at Lumsden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, this is HB 357. It's this is supplemental though, so it's LC 50119-5S, and I'll just walk through some of the changes. But it's basically this is tax credit to try to benefit Habitat for Humanity, and it's a $10 million cap per year with a $2 million per annex. Nothing changed with the single individuals. It was $5,000 per single, $10,000 for married couples, and $10,000 for corporations. I think all the rest of it is just standard. That has basically just the details of how that looks and how it can be contributed and how it can be donated. And then the other change in this supplement than the other one was that we, I'm sorry, it wasn't a change. We had the 10% to qualify the contributions for administrative expenses, and that was left the same.
Any questions for the author? Hearing none, what's the will of the committee? I have a motion do pass. There a second? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Opposed, like sign.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Muted myself. All right, that's about right. Chairman Lumsden, is that,
Yes.
that got you?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I bring to you House Bill 511, LC 501210S. This is a piece of model legislation that comes from the National Council of Insurance Legislators. Several other states surrounding us have already enacted this legislation. Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, and several others are in the process of considering it this year. It deals with reducing one's taxable income by way of a catastrophic savings account, which can be used when a declared catastrophic event occurs. The savings account may be a regular savings account or a money market account, but it must be designated as a catastrophic savings account. Must have corresponding funds in the account to receive the reduction, and it only applies to individual taxpayers who own their own home, and the home must be a residential property and be their primary residence. It gets into deductibles if the house, if it is insured, the possibility for if it's not insured, what amounts apply, and page 3, which is the addition to the substitute, gets into further details as to how it works in the way of deductions, interest, distributions, and particularly how it's handled if the primary person passes. So that's the bill.
So thank you, Chairman Lumsden. Do we have any questions? I know that we tried to address some of the legalese and also align it with what our current HSA parameters are. I think following not only the NCOIL model, but also what we've seen, dare I say, in Alabama. So
Correct.
Thank you, Chairman,
Thank you.
for bringing the bill. Do we have, I don't see any questions. What's the will of the committee? I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by stating aye. All right, bill passes. Thank you very much, Chairman. All right, and HB 577, Vice Chairman Gaines, I think we also have an amendment that is loaded up on your tablet, so I'll let you explain both of those if you will, Representative.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 577 is our effort to try to get the vaping issue under control. We have just an influx of illegal Chinese manufactured vape products that are flooding the marketplace. And what this bill does is create a state level registry. The bill, very similar to this, passed, I think it was 164 to 4 last year in the House, and I didn't quite get over the finish line in the Senate. And that's what the bill does. Anybody in the subcommittee will remember yesterday we heard from a number of folks who had concerns about the bill. I think they still have concerns about the bill, but the amendment before you would exempt what are called open systems. And the reason why I'm comfortable with this is those are very not used by youth at all. Our goal here is to stop youth vaping and to ensure that these disposable products that are targeting the youth are not accessible to them. And so these open systems are ones that you have to fill up the pods with. Anyway, it's not something that is detracting youth, and so we're comfortable with that. I understand that's something that would help some of those owners, and so I'm comfortable with that amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Are there any questions on the bill? Let's see. Representative Neal?
Thank you to the chair. Thank you to the author. I do have some questions from some external partners. One question is, why aren't there stricter penalties in the bill? And also, two, does this incentivize youth to not use vapes?
I'm open to as strict the penalties we want to go. It does have fairly strict penalties for having these disposable vape products in stores, but I'm certainly open if we want to increase those penalties. I think it's on the third or fourth. It's a total revocation, but certainly open to any changes the committee would like to see on that piece. And the second question was, does it hinder youth vaping? And I think the answer to that is that's what the whole point of this bill is to try to discourage youth accessibility to these disposable vape products. I mean, some of them are even shaped like USB drives that they're bringing into schools. And we had a study committee over the fall that really looked at this, and it's a massive problem for our schools. And so what we're trying to do is get these products that really target youth off the shelves. And I think that this bill will help achieve that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I see another? You wave? Okay. I don't see any further questions. It's a will of the committee. I have a motion on the bill, and there's a second. And in discussion, we have an amendment. Do you want to move to accept?
I'll move to accept. I was trying to pull it up here, but it's Amendment 520060.
I have a motion on the Gaines Amendment and a second. Is there any further discussion there? Hearing none, all those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, like sign. All right, is there any further discussion on HB 577 as amended? Hearing none, all in favor of HB 577 as amended, please signify by stating aye. Those opposed, like sign. All right, thank you, Representative Gaines. All right, HB 586, Chairman Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, House Bill 586 is a bill that simply extends the from 3 years to 5 years the exemption from having to collect tangibles recording tax on deeds to secure debt. Currently, as most members of the committee are aware, there's no intangible recording tax fees collected on any of our credit unions, nor does this bill touch credit unions in any way. This simply moves the exemption from 3 years to 5 years, thereby allowing households to have more predictable, to eliminate at least 2 more years of their interest rate risk. The risk that the rates may go up, and they can have know exactly when they borrow the money exactly what their payments will be for up to 7 years. I apologize, up to 7 years, rather than being limited to 3 right now. So that's simply what the bill does, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. A fiscal note has been ordered.
which has not been the easiest thing to get. I know they are
Yes,
backed
they're-
up, so we're working on getting those before too much longer, but this would only impact local governments.
That's correct, and working with ACCG to make sure that it's a bite at the apple. It's a little bit more fairness for all the financial institutions, excluding the credit unions, and again, it allows more predictability on payments for 5 years rather than being subject to unknown interest rate risk.
7.
I'm sorry, I keep saying 5, but I meant 7.
Is anybody here to wish to speak to the bill or have any questions of the author? Who's that? Thank you. Anybody else? I don't see anything. I know that the hour is late, but we would acknowledge that, you know, this is a first hearing, but I do want to give the committee the option to waive the rules if they choose to pass. It's a fairly simple bill, and I know we're waiting on the fiscal note, but since it only impacts local governments, if the will of the committee is to move forward, we can do that. You want to waive the rules? All right, we have a motion to waive the rules, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by stating aye. All right, those opposed, like sign. All right, what's the will of the committee on the bill? We have a motion, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor passage of HB 586, please signify by stating aye. Opposed, like sign. All right, thank you very much. And then we have two hearing bills that we would have hearings on. Representative Donatucci is here. Is Representative Washburn? Is he here? I don't see him. Okay, so HB 597, and Representative Donatucci has worked really hard on this. I know that it did not make it to the day 20 stipulation, that rule that we have in the House on revenue bills, but I know she's worked really hard and wanted to give her an opportunity to talk a little bit about the work she's put into this bill. So, floor is yours, Representative.
Mr. Chairman, committee, thank you so much for hearing me today. This is a tax credit for fire and emergency to support our firefighters. There were some changes that were made that were brought up a few minutes ago, but the changes would be found on page 3, down at the bottom where it was changed on line 67 from the 75% to 30%. On page 5, right in the middle, line 107, they are going to open the credits back up for those that are not used, and that that's going to be on line 107. And then if you read just further down on 115, that once it's opened back up again, it would be at 95%, so 95 cents on a dollar. The bill itself, just going through, if you go to page 3, it says that the aggregate amount that can be tax credits would be $75 million per calendar year, with $3 million per foundation. And then it has your standard amounts for the $5,000 for a single individual, your couples $10,000, your LLCs, and then again the change is at the bottom in section D. The local firemen are still allowed, this is on page 4, line 69, the local fire rescue units are still allowed to raise money up to $3 million. And then it goes about establishing how to put together the website, how to give all of the information for the foundation on the web page. On the page 5, this is how the pre-approval is administered. And I believe that this is going to be standard with 30 days to request a pre-approval, and after the pre-approval has been approved, they've got 60 days to go ahead and apply for it. Page 6 talks about how the individual files for it with the IRS Form 990. And then it has at the end on page 7, if the foundation is not proceeding appropriately, and it gives some guidelines if they have people that are contributing that are making requests. They just can't be personally involved in the tax credit situation on individuals. And then it gives the way, if they were to have a violation, how they would proceed from there. Any questions?
I don't see any questions. I think generally speaking, I mean, this is very akin to what the General Assembly has done and the governor signed into law that we discussed earlier for the LESS Act, and what we do for our law enforcement, we do the same for our firefighters. Is that
Yes.
not correct?
Yes.
All right. Good bill. Thank you for the presentation.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Did Chairman Washburn, or Representative Washburn, he says he's coming? Okay. He's maybe going to present to an empty room, other than I'll wait on him if need be. We'll just pause for just a minute, and I certainly won't be too critical if anybody decides they need to go on. It's been a long day. So we'll stand at ease for just a minute, and we'll listen to Representative Washburn when he gets here. Thank you. In case anybody was waiting, we're going to adjourn, and we'll catch Representative Washburn next round. We'll get him worked in. He and I have communicated a great deal, and he's been understanding at every step of the way. We do want to give him a chance to get his bill talked about. Thank you. Y'all have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow.